Good morning, this is your math sensei, Mr. Sensei, and this is an exit ticket on writing systems of equations. So we're explaining a letter to a friend how to set up and solve the following word problems. Minimum length is 1 page. So a solution containing 30% chicken broth is to be mixed with a solution containing 50%. I see percents and I immediately go, hey, you know what? These are rate words. So that's what I'm mixing together. So I know that this is going to be 30% because that's what I'm mixing together, and this will be 50%. And since 30 starts with a T, I'm going to put T, and then this is a F for 50. And by the way, we always want to go small, large, medium. Small, large, medium. And it turns out we have another one. We'll deal with that percent in just a moment. That's the middle percent. Small, large, middle. But we're going to say let um, T equal liters of 30%. Let F equal liters of 50% because we're trying to come up with 200 liters. All right, we know real quickly that when we have percents, we always have to divide them by 100. So this is going to be 30 divided by 100, and this will be 50 divided by 100, and that'll give me my rate. So this will be 0.30, this will be 0.50, and we have a 42, and as soon as we divide that by 100, we're going to get 0.42. So now we've taken care of all these values, and we can mark them out. We only have one number left, and that happens to be our total. That total will always go here. If we only have one total, it'll go here. We'll either have three rates and one total, which 3 plus 1 is 4, or we'll have two rates and two totals, in which case we won't have the middle rate. But this time we have three rates, so they go like this. So we now have our first equation, which is going to be T plus F equals 200. But really, that's like having a 1 here and a 1 there. Now, to get our second equation, we're going to have to multiply. Well, this times this equals 0.30T. This times this gives me 0.50F. And then I have to multiply this, and that gives me, and I take my calculator because I can't do it in my head. Actually, I could, but 200 times 0.42, which will give me 84. So now we have our second equation, because this was our first equation that went right here. And then we have our second equation, which is right here. And this is 0.30T plus 0.50F equals 84. So then my matrix is going to look like this. 1, 1, 200, 0.30, 0.50, and 84. And that's what I'm going to be entering in the calculator. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to press clear. So we're going to go blue matrix, arrow over to edit, press enter, 2 enter, 3 enter. And we're going to enter our data. 1 enter, 1 enter, 200 enter. 0.3 enter, 0.5 enter, and 84 enter. Once we have it entered, we're going to leave the matrix by pressing blue mode. We're going to re-enter the matrix by saying blue matrix arrow to math. And we're going to drop down to RREF. That's letter B. And we're going to press blue matrix. And we end up getting 80 and 120. And this is T, and that's F. So we need 80 liters of the 30% and 120 liters of the 50%. And if you notice, these two add together to make 200. Okay, now that we have done all of our work, we're going to try to explain this thing to our friends. So you should have all this written down, and we're going to go ahead and explain it in a letter. So I'm going to share my screen because I've already written this out. Okay, so everything I have is a good explanation, but the part that you need is the part in yellow. So it says, Dear friend that I wish I had. Well, you can write it to any friend that you want. You can write it to Bob or John or Mr. Smith or your previous math teacher or Santa Claus. It really doesn't matter. I know you've been struggling with writing and solving systems of equations, but I can help you. I learned how to do it from the Math Sensei. You don't have to put that because it's not highlighted. First, read the problem carefully and look for two things being combined together because that's what we did. We read it and then we looked for things being combined. And in our case, we said 30% chicken broth and another that contained 50%. So we are combining two solutions, one with 30% and one with 50%. These two solutions will be our variables. In the first column, we'll list 30% and 50%. And then next, I'll define my variables. And, let's go ahead and type that in. See, I don't know if I can type that in there or not. Yeah, I can. 30% there and 50% here. Oops, not 60, but 50. And we said that this was going to be T, and we said that this would be F, because let T represents the 30% and let F equal the 50%. Now let's identify this rate. Well, we already did that. We already said that this was 0.30, and we said that this was going to be 0.50, and we also realized we had another rate that was 0.42. Okay, then we put them in the rate columns, and we divided the 30, the 50, and the 42 by 100. And always remember you want small, large, medium. Now, the next thing we need to do is we look for our total words. In this case, we only had one total value, and our total value was 200. We multiply across, and we get 0.30 T. Here we get 0.50 F. And over here, we get 84. Now that I have all of that, I can write my first equation. So T plus F equals 200. And that's my first equation, and that's right here. And then I can write, when I multiply it out, I can get my second equation, which is right there. Now that I have my equations, I can write my matrix, which is 1, 1, and 20, just writing down the numbers, and 0.30, 0.50, and 0.84. We ran it through the matrix, and we got this value on our calculator. Well, the last two values, the 80 and the 120, represent our answer. And so to make 200 liters of 42% chicken broth, we will need 80 liters of 30% broth and 120 liters of 50% broth. I sure hope this helped, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one. Thank you for watching.